This is the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. We're taking it back to the roots, getting dirty and covering all things off-road, because pavement, well, that's for it's gloves off, in your face, on the edge, and the way off-road should be. We're your definitive source for all things dirt.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Welcome to this week's Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver, we got a big show, so we're going to cut to the chase pretty quick today. I spent almost an hour with Baja winner Wes Miller. Yes, multi-time Baja winner. He's won on a quad. He's now won the Baja 400 in a UTV. Also the guy, the mastermind behind the Huevos series and the Bomb Squad. If you guys remember back the ATV days and, high flying and dude, just good stuff. So Wes Miller, my guest today on the show. Trust me, you guys are going to love this one. We talk some old school stuff, old school ATVs, and then the UTV industry racing today. Man, it's definitely good stuff. Also want to mention our title sponsor, Four Wheel Parts. They just dropped an amazing collaboration with Dixon Flannel. It's a Four Wheel Parts Dixon Flannel exclusive. You can get it at Four Wheel Parts website, 4WP.com. Make sure and go over there and get it. Limited quantities, man. I think they sold 2,000 of them in the first day. These are like badass flannels. Yeah, you want to go and get in on it. Go over to 4WP, get those flannels, because when they're gone, you know what? They're just gone. They're not restocking them. So definitely get in on it. I know I got a couple of them ordered. You guys should too, for sure. They're worth it. They're badass. So yeah, once again, this is the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. Make sure and head over to iTunes if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. Please leave a rating and a review when you do, but please hit that subscribe button, man. Helps us out. You get all of these shows, plus you get all of my national show. This week I got George Steinbrenner. Yes, you know that name from the New York Yankees. He's also an IndyCar team owner. We got Power Rankings. Tiffany Stone's on to talk the latest in off-road news as well, and it is definitely a good show. Also spent a week out in SoCal, actually not a week, just a few days. Spent some time at Monster Energy. I got to tell you, man, their gym there is insane. Recorded an episode for a new show I've got with my good friend Jonathan Coyle called All Things Awesome. That coming up. We're about a month out from launch of that. But I also, when I was there, spent an afternoon at the Deegans. Yes, Brian Deegan. He's got a new podcast coming out on Podcast One called the Deegan Family Podcast. But spent an hour recording, filming an interview with Brian Deegan, talking about his career and just amazing fist fights, rivalries with Pastrana and Dave Mira, ghost rides, and then his family where they're at today. Really good stuff with Brian Deegan. We're about a week out from dropping that. I think you guys are really going to love that when it hits. So that is going to be dropping on Project Action. So you want to go and get my Project Action podcast on iTunes as well. Hit the subscribe button, leave a rating or review as well. And for all things just pretty much badass. Yeah, and enough of all this me talking and all this other stuff and giving you guys the intro and the runaround. Yeah, subscribe to everything, right? We're doing some awesome stuff here, and we want you guys to hear it. But all that being said, we are going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, it is going to be Wes Miller on the line with me, and we're going to be talking Baja, UTVs, ATVs, and probably some big changes in the industry. And Wes has been around for a long time, and good dude. So looking forward to that. Hang tight. We're going to have a short commercial break, and we'll be back after this on the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show, powered by Polaris RZR. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out VisionWheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with a Down and Dirty radio show since 2012. Do you race or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500 or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in. I'd like to welcome one of my guests this week to the 4 Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. One of my RZR Factory Racing teammates, Wes Miller. Man, Wes, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Stoked to be on here, man.
Yeah, I was going to think. I think the last time we did something was probably out. Like, was it Dynamics at the dealer show? They brought a bunch of us out there, and that was when the new Dynamics launched, and all of us were out there, and they took us on a trail ride to try it out. I was trying to think back. I'm like, that might have been the last time we actually interviewed you, so it's been way too long, man.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but we needed something to talk about. Now we finally do.
Yeah, right.
So that's a good thing.
Well, and let's talk about it. I got a feeling, dude, I mean, this is a little bit of redemption because, I mean, there's a bunch of he said, she said about last year. And, I mean, facts are you were pretty much robbed, man. Like, this has got to feel really good to come back a year later and take this win.
Yeah, there's definitely some history went into this. I don't want to rehash last year too much, but there's definitely some difference of opinion on how things went down there, and I wasn't very happy about it. I felt like there was a ruling that had been made, and the results got changed 9 days later without an explanation, but whatever. So yeah, when we went into it this race, it was like, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. It was like, I want to go win this race. And I mean, we really feel that way going into a lot of them, but I felt like we had spent all summer testing, making some changes on the car, kind of simplifying things, and really taking the things off the car that had been issues in the past. And, all of our testing was going great leading up to this. And I kept telling people, this is the most confident and most prepared I had felt going into a race in a long time. And, I had a game plan in my head of what we wanted to do, and I don't think we could have executed it any better.
Well, and I think Baja's like Baja, and I know you love running the Baja races. We'll see you up here once in a while in the States, but you predominantly kind of stick to Baja, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the thing about Baja is like I've always said, there's a lot of luck. Like you can prepare and prepare and prepare, but there's so much luck involved with winning in Baja. And I mean, there's so many things that can happen that are out of your control. I mean, you can have a perfect race car and all of a sudden get to a bottleneck or something like that, and just like you're done. And there's so much luck that goes involved in winning there. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's one of those, like, you can approach it and know, hey, I have one of the best cars. We've done our homework. We've pre-run everything else. And then you get into the race 50 miles in, something happens out of your control and you're like, oh, damn, well, race is over, But I feel like I don't think people realize how hard it actually is to win in Baja because there's all these outlying factors that you can't even prepare for,
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I do think that, preparation is key. And, going down there fully prepared and having a game plan. And then, but you've always got to be able to kind of think on the fly and just go by the seat of your pants down there. Because like you said, it is Baja. You never know what's going to happen. You may come around a corner and there's a pickup truck coming head on at you, or a donkey in the road, or a cow, or like you said, you'll come up on a bottleneck, and but that's like the bottlenecks, and a lot of that stuff. That comes down to pre-running and having experience down there. And when we're pre-running, I'll think about like, okay, this is an area there might be a bottleneck. If there is a bottleneck here, what do we do? And you try to have a game plan for that when you come to those sections. Some of the areas there's just nowhere to go and you're screwed. But a lot of times, if you at least have an idea of like, okay, I can go to the right and work up this hill, or stay to the left and work that hill to get around this, then you're a little bit ahead of the game going into it. And then being in a UTV, we're kind of a lightweight four-wheel drive car, and we can get through stuff and get around stuff a lot better than a lot of the two-wheel drive classes.
Yeah. That's true, too. Like, when I'm racing my trophy truck, I look at things completely different than I do a UTV. And it's like, you get into a nasty, silty wash, and it doesn't matter that you got 800 horsepower. Like, if you stop or something, like, you're done. And, with a UTV, you know what I mean? You just approach things different because you do have that, all-wheel drive and that fallback. And it's kind of interesting when you start talking about Baja and bottlenecks. Like, I do think UTV in a lot of places is an advantage over a lot of the bigger trucks and things like that. And I think, some of the times we're seeing in Baja, they're starting to prove it, man. I mean, UTVs are getting crazy fast down there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember where Matlock finished at the 1,000 last year, but I think he beat all the 10 cars, was like third in class 1 or something.
I think it was like 17th or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think the more technical that the courses are, and I feel like that SCORE keeps making the courses rougher and more technical, as well as the cars have so much horsepower and they're faster that the courses get tore up. That really kind of plays into the hand of the UTVs, because again, we're fairly lightweight four-wheel drive vehicles, and the technology of these cars now has come so far. We're basically driving a CVT driven four-wheel drive class 10 car is
right.
Pretty much what our cars are now.
And it's funny now with all of us building these 4 seats, and you even look like at these new Turbo S's coming from the factory and things like that. I mean, once you get them spec'd out, like, and you put them side by side with a 10 car, like, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Like, I mean, people still like to poke fun and call them golf carts and stuff, but like anybody that I know that's actually got behind the wheel of one of our proper desert razors, they're just like, holy shit, I did not expect that.
Yeah. Well, I think people always look at my race razor, and everyone always asks me, like, how stock is this car? Because my my car looks a lot like a 10 car. And, it is cool though, that we're still using, the stock motor, trans, diff. There are a lot of stock components that stay in these cars, which I think is a testament to how good of a platform that we start with. So, but I'm definitely, I think that the sport of UTV racing is going to continue to evolve. There's more players coming into this, and the factories are going to keep pushing each other. So it's an exciting time to be involved, and it's going to be really interesting to see what a race car 2 years from now looks like.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that's rad, and we'll talk about, I want to go and talk about some of your history here in a second, but I think with UTVs, it's interesting, because you can take any of the major manufacturers and, and they make motorcycles and ATVs, UTVs and stuff like that, but take a motorcycle. I mean, you can go road racing, you can go supercross racing. Like there's all these outlets for your brand, with UTV, like there's pretty much only one thing you can do with the damn thing. And that's just go out into the desert and just, and slay, so it's not like you can go road racing with a UTV. And I mean, I know there's people that toy around with drifting them and stuff like that, but for a manufacturer, there's really, us in the desert and, a little bit in short course, that's pretty much your only option. So I think it really, it's kind of good for us in a sense because, it kind of makes them focus on what we're doing. And I think that's why we've got all the manufacturers here.
Yeah, for sure. And, they do the cross country racing back east, and, I think that's decently big back there, but, out here on the West Coast, I think desert racing is by far the king for UTV racing. And, when I raced the NIT 400, I think there's 80 guys in the Pro Turbo class or something like that. So we were the biggest class, and it's ultra competitive. You've got multiple factory teams from multiple manufacturers, and there's legit race programs out there, and it makes it fun because it's super competitive. But one of the things I do like about the UTV class is I feel like that there's still a fair amount of camaraderie between us, and for the most part, I would say like most of us are friends, and we can race and then hang out afterwards. So it still makes it fun.
Yeah, and that's the truth. It's one thing I know specifically about Team Razor, and I mean, I've got a lot of friends on some other manufacturers as well, but I know like Team Razor, we're always like helping each other. And I mean, there's been times when I didn't need a part was on back order from Polaris, and I needed one, and I can send out a text to just about anybody, and everybody's, if they've got one, they're like, oh yeah, I'll mail it to you or whatever, and it's definitely always helping each other out. Like you said, we have a lot of fun beforehand, and then the race, it's like game on, and then as soon as the race is over, it's like, all right, let's have a beer together and tell war stories,
Oh, for sure. I mean, with Team Razor, I feel like I talk to the guys all the time, and we're always bouncing things off of each other, and, hey, what do you do for this or that? And, I've had guys lend me parts. I've lent guys parts. I think we all kind of help each other out, and, we want to make sure that a Polaris Razor is on top of the podium and ideally on all three spots of the podium. But that said, like at the Baja 400, like Mark Burnett and I were battling, we're first and second, and it was funny because I caught him, I got by him. There was a line from coming into Valley T that I thought at the drivers meeting they had showed a VCP on the course. And it's a line I've used on the quad back in the day, and I didn't take it because I was like, oh, I don't want to miss this VCP. Well, I'm on the course, and I look and I see Burnett on that line, and it turned out the VCP was after where that line came in. So I'm like, oh man, I got to get on it. And I'm talking to my co-driver. I'm like, shoot, he's coming on that line. I'm like, he's going to beat us to the course. And so we're racing, and he gets there about 10 feet in front of me. I'm right behind him, carrying more speed though. And I got right up on him, and he actually pulled over and let me back by. and which I thought he was being gentlemanly, but apparently he thought I was a truck, actually, when we talked about it later. But I was like, wow, I can't believe he let me by. And, and then we raced for a while, and then we hit some really fast stuff, and his car is really, really quick. And he got up on me, and I pulled over and let him go by. And, it was a very courteous race, I guess. And then he ended up blowing a belt, and I got back by him. But it was fun, and after the race, I mean, we both, kind of talked about everything that went on, and we had a really good time kind of dicing with each other. And I feel it's that way with a lot of the guys. And after the race, it's like like Wayne Matlock was there, the Risk Racing guys were there, Tony Riggs, Castro, and we all just kind of hung out, had some beers at the finish line, and talked about how all of our races went. And so it makes it fun. And I like having those friendships and, being able to race hard against each other, but at the end of the day, be friends and hang out afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned something back there too. You mentioned about an old ATV line. I want to go back to that because I know, now you've kind of made the full transition, to a roll cage and UTVs and stuff like that. But dude, you've been racing in Baja for a few decades now, right? I mean, you started out there in an ATV. You've got I don't know how many Baja wins you've got to your credit, but I know it's way up there, man. I mean, how did you get your whole start in this whole thing and racing down there, on ATVs?
Yeah. Well, you're gonna make me date myself now, but actually the first score race I went to, I think, was in '83. We went to the San Felipe 250 with my family, and that same year I started racing three-wheelers in the desert out by Barstow, and actually did my first score race was the Great Mojave 250 on a Tri-Z 250 in Lucerne Valley, and my first Baja 1000 was in '95. It was kind of funny because I had quit to go to college, and I moved to Newport Beach with my buddies, and we were barbecuing, sitting around drinking some beer, and we decided we were going to build a buggy and go race the Baja 1000. Well, nobody really came through with it, so I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just do it on a quad. So I put together a quad team and we raced it. And anybody that's been down to Baja or raced down in Baja, it's like a bad addiction is what I tell people. It's like once you race in Baja, you can't quit. And even though there's plenty of times that it probably would have been the smartest thing to do. So really, like from '95 till now, I think I've raced the 1,000, I think every year other than two. So I want to say I'm going on my 22nd or 23rd Baja 1000. And we won 5 championships in the ATV class with Wayne Matlock and I, and we had a couple other different teammates that rotated in and out. And we won a bunch of races, the San Felipe 250, a bunch of Baja 500s, a bunch of Baja 1000s. I don't even remember exactly how many we won. So definitely have a lot of experience down there. I think I was trying to think how many miles I had ridden down there over my career, or ridden or driven. And I'm trying to remember what the number was that we came up with, but I think we figured I had ridden like probably 100,000 miles or something down in Baja between all the pre-running, fun rides, and races I'd done. So definitely got a lot of miles under my belt down there.
Yeah. Well, here's a question too, and this is something actually popped up on the show a week or so ago. We were talking about it, and I feel like ATVs now have people don't pay a lot of attention to them in desert racing, anyways. And there's still guys out there still shredding and doing it. But I was looking at the Baja 400, and you tell me about this track because I've raced on a lot of this, but I don't know how it looked this year. But I think his name is Ariano, but he finished he beat every class except for trophy truck and unlimited bikes, beat all the class 1s on a quad. And I'm like, dude, that's insane. It was 17th overall on a 4-wheeler. I'm like, that just doesn't happen, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think people underestimate how fast quads can go. I know the last year that Wayne Matlock and I raced the 1000 was 2013, and I think we finished. I know we were like third or fourth overall out of all the bikes and quads. So I think only like the very, very top pro bikes beat us, and then I think 5 trophy trucks beat us, and that was it. We were like, I don't know, top. We were like 11th overall or something like that.
Crazy.
And I mean, we were definitely pushing the pace. And I one of the things I look at is with the, I used to do all the Huevos videos and all that stuff, and definitely was very close with most of the top ATV riders, and so many of those guys now are the top UTV drivers.
Yeah.
And from like Tim Fargus won Crandon, Cody and Hunter Miller are doing really well in the Work Series, and they did well in GNCC.
Luberg, I know he's Luberg's always shredding.
Jason Luberg, like Dustin Nelson, Wayne Matlock, Mike Caffro, Bo Barron, David Hagsma. It's like the list goes on and on and on of all these guys that were champion or top ATV riders that are now champion and top UTV drivers. So I think there's something to be said for what we learned on how to ride a quad that translates to UTVs. Because Nick Randlin is another one. I mean, just literally, if you looked at the list, most of the top guys that are winning, I'd say 75% of them came from pro quad racing.
Yeah. Well, with all that being said, I know, tell me about, you mentioned Huevos there, and I know, like, dude, this was the era, I remember, Terra Firma was coming out and all the Crusties and stuff like that. And I was always growing up, like, I appreciated dirt bikes and I rode dirt bikes, but I was always more of a quad guy. And so, like, dude, when those videos started coming out, it was insane, because here's me, this kid out in the desert, trying to do this stuff off, the top of dunes and things like that. And then all of a sudden these videos come out, and I'm like, holy crap, I was like, and this is before, like, internet was crazy. You just go on YouTube and check out all these clips. But how did that whole brainchild happen, Wes?
Well, I was racing quads, kind of doing the Mickey Thompson series, and then some local motocross stuff on a quad. And I was living in Newport Beach, and I knew like the guys from Black Flies, and I want to say that meeting the guys that did the Crusty Demons of Dirt videos through some of them. And really kind of growing up my whole life, I was tired of people talking smack about four-wheelers and calling them couches and this and that, when I'm like, there's a lot of times we're going just as big on a quad as these guys are going on dirt bikes. So that's kind of where the idea came of, well, let's make a video. Also, like, I grew up surfing and skating and snowboarding and stuff, so I was always watching those films. And so I just finally was like, you know what, I'm going to make one about quads that shows what guys can do on quads. And so we did Quadros Locos, and then after that, the guys I'd done that with, we kind of went our separate ways. But I went and started the Huevos series, and we got a distribution deal with Fox, and Fox was doing Terra Firma, and really the whole kind of motocross video thing was just blowing up in the mid to late 90s.
Dude, there was a golden era there, dude. There was like a golden era, and I remember because I was like smack dab in it. But like, dude, I mean, it was a thing for like, I mean, I know our local motorcycle dealer, like, we heard videos are coming out, and they'd put the word out on the street, and like kids were lined up to buy these damn, VHS tapes and stuff like that when, because there was, like I said, that was the only way we got our content. It was like, dude, there was a golden era there that you were smack in the middle of, man.
Yeah. No, we had a good run with it. And yeah, I mean, it was, that was a big deal in that time period, and it's, honestly, I wish it was still like that. But I feel like things have changed so much now, like with the internet and just, it kind of bums me out that you don't have all these motocross films, or really action sports films, period, don't exist the way that they used to, say 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've lost something because I remember it was a big deal. Like if you got, say, a 3-minute part in a video, and I'm not just saying, one of your videos or Terra Firma or Krusty's, whatever, but like if you were actually good enough to get a spot, like you put a lot of planning. I mean, it was months of planning. Like, I'm going to do this. And I mean, it wasn't 1 second wasted, right? And I feel like that's, like you said, there's something that's kind of been lost through this translation to social media and things like that, because I don't think we've got all this stuff that happens on YouTube now, and the Gymkhanas and stuff's amazing, and it does viral numbers and things like that. But I feel like, a lot of it's overly produced, and I don't know. I feel like there's been something lost in translation since that era,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think, I don't know, there was just something to be said of, even I can remember growing up racing, it's like, you got Dirt Wheels or a magazine once a month, and when I was a kid, I would be checking the mailbox every day when I knew it was time for it to come, because I was so excited to get a new magazine. And then, if you got a cover shot or like a full page spread, or even if you were in the magazine at all, it was so exciting, because it was like, oh man, like you knew like everybody was going to see it. And, and that's something that would sit on somebody's coffee table for the next 6 months, and people would look at it over and over. And same thing with the videos, where, if you had a part in a video, it kind of immortalized you in the sport, because that's something that people would watch over and over and over. Everybody in the industry watched it, and, it kind of put your stamp on the sport. Now it's like everybody puts out some sort of clip, and I think things just get lost in the, there's just so much content out there now that things just get lost, and it's like everything's a flash in the pan. And I don't think that, I don't know, it's just a different culture now. And I think that there was something to be said for how things were before that is lost now, that kind of bums me out. But, that said, there's a lot of new things that you can do, and you just have to adapt and move forward.
Yeah. Well, talking about moving forward, though, I know you've kind of brought back the whole bomb squad thing, and I know I saw you in the past. You've talked about re-releasing the apparel. I don't know if you have or not, but I think that's kind of cool, because it's kind of a nod to before, but it's like current times. Like, I don't know. Like, I remember. I mean, I owned OG Bomb Squad shirts and things like that. Like, I just think it's awesome, man, how you've kind of tried to kind of bridge the gap in, the two generations, Like I said, I don't want to age us, like, because me, you and Wayne are really similar, I think, in age, but you know what I mean? I just think that it's really cool how you've kind of presented your program and things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we were getting ready to start our race program, instead of just calling it Wes Miller Racing, or, I just felt like we had so much history and kind of brand equity built in the Huevos series and the Bomb Squad. And, and we had done a lot of things with the Bomb Squad, where we had the freestyle quad team, but then we had done some race teams and programs under that umbrella, with quads. And I mean, shoot, we raced rhinos back in 06 or something like that. Like, I think Dana Creech and I and a couple other guys, like the guys from Rhino Craft, like Brett Spooner and Chad Spooner, and we all took rhinos out to the WPSA tour and raced those things on motocross tracks. And I mean, honestly, I think we were some of the first guys to ever race UTVs. Yeah. But so I kind of, when we were doing our new team, I wanted to kind of carry that over, and at least have some roots in the history of what I had done leading up to this. And so it's cool, because I think there's a lot of guys that grew up watching my movies and that rode quads, that now have UTVs, that are still fans of what we've done, and they follow me, and it's always cool I try to do a lot of social media posts and have a lot of interaction with our fans and the public. And just, like when we won this race, just there was an outpouring of people that were like, man, you were due, congratulations. You've worked so hard for this. And it was really gratifying to get those messages from all the fans. And, so it's like everybody that follows us, like I personally read all this and I'm the one that answers all of it. It's not like I have some intern that's doing this stuff for me. So you really are interacting with me. And, I really do appreciate and take to heart what people say. And so that is kind of one of the things that's cool about technology now is you actually can have these one-on-one conversations with people that maybe would have been inaccessible before.
Yeah, no, and that's truth. I mean, gosh, I can remember back. Yeah, it was some of these guys you'd see in a video or a magazine. You actually ran into them in an event in person. It was like, oh, like you didn't know what to do, and it was like, and now, like, I think kids still see these people on social media as these legendary figures, but now they can actually get a response from them. And I think that's what's really, that's one thing that I think is really positive about this generation is you do have access to these people. And, and granted, some have such big followings, it's hard to get a message through, but I think, by and large, they still read. And I think that's one thing cool is the access people have now to these people they idolize,
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely the whole paradigm's kind of changed from how it was before. And, like I said, I think there's pros and cons to it. I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
You and me both.
It's a necessary evil, and, you need to be out there and you need to market yourself. And, but it is cool because, I try to post things and kind of give people a look and an insight to what it's like to be in our shoes and be a part of a race program and go down and race Baja. And you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes that, maybe people wouldn't have been able to see before. So I think that part of it is good.
Yeah. Well, all that being said, I know the 1,000 coming up. We're about a month and a half away, a little over a month and a half away. What's obviously you guys got a lot of momentum carrying into Baja, man. What's the approach here? I know track's out now. It's a little bit shorter of a 1,000. What's the approach here? You going to do the whole thing? You going to split driving? What's the plans, man?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I'm sitting here staring at the map I just printed out, and I was going over our chase strategy right before we did this call. So I'm staring at the map as we speak. Since we won, we'll be the first UTV off the line, which I think there's pros and cons to that. I like being first off the line if we can have clean air. Just what concerns me sometimes is I feel like it's harder to pass some of the buggies and trucks than it is a UTV. I can usually work through the UTV field pretty quick.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you got a class 10 car, and he's got 20 mile an hour top speed on you, I can't beat him on the straightaways. I can only get him in the technical stuff. And sometimes you get held up, and that allows the competitors behind you to catch up to you. That said, if you can work through the pack quick and get some cars between you and them, sometimes you can gap out. I like to try to establish a lead pretty early on and then maintain it. I'll probably be my game plan going into this. And then, it's going to be a fairly technical race. You've got a lot of the stuff through Mike's and Simpson and Coyote. And then you've got the San Felipe loop. And then we're going up La Rumorosa, I guess, which I can't remember in my entire time of racing down here. I don't remember us ever going up La Rumorosa. We've always gone down it.
Yeah.
So that might be kind of interesting because if somebody gets stuck there, I don't think there's any other way to go around. So, I mean, luckily it's pretty far into the race, but that could be one hell of a bottleneck right there.
Push them off the cliff. That's what people get. It's funny if you're in that position too, because people get drivers get crazy. Like I've seen them physically going, "Oh, we're just going to push that vehicle off the cliff." Hell with them, and it's funny, man. But
well, yeah, I mean, at the 400 this year, between Acambaro or Europan going into Ojos, that's a pretty technical section, and we were first, and I think we had about a 15-minute physical lead over Burnett. So I was kind of, trying to be conservative, take care of the car, and, just run at a very deliberate pace. And we caught 2 trophy spec trucks, and they were just making a ton of dust. And I literally was having to come to a complete stop at certain points because I couldn't see 5 feet in front of the car.
Yeah.
And the entire time I'm talking to my co-driver, and I wasn't panicking, but I wasn't real happy because I was kind of freaking out of, we're in first place. I don't want to throw this thing away by crashing in the dust when I can't see. But the whole time in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking man, everybody else is going to be catching us because we're stuck behind these guys. And so that's one of the things of, when you're leading, it's just, there's so many things in these races that how things play out, where you catch another car can really dictate how the race plays out for you. Because if you're stuck behind a fast car and he's slowing you down, say 10%, but you just can't get around him, and you got another guy that's able to run 100%, he can close up on you. But the flip side of that would be is if you can get around that car and put him between you, and then now second place or whatever, the guy behind you has to work through his dust, you can kind of gap out sometimes. So I feel like a lot of desert racing, especially Baja, you just got to be able to think on your feet and always be adjusting what you're doing. And, I think having experience down there and knowing where you catch people and where you try to make your moves and where you try to make your passes and, where it's okay to be behind somebody and where it's not okay to be behind someone, having that experience, knowing those things, is really helpful.
Yeah, and I think I've told people before, they've asked me about Baja, and it's been a while since I've raced down there. But so, the one thing I learned really, really quick in Baja is sometimes slower is actually faster. I'm Baja is the one place where you can get yourself into a really compromising position if you're too gun-ho and just, jump into something without really thinking it through. And, like you said, sometimes patience is key in Baja, even though we don't want to have patience. Sometimes it's what's going to, get us to the finish line.
Yeah, for sure. And I've got a feeling this 1,000 there's going to be a fair amount of attrition, and I think you're going to have to be real smart, take care of your car, and I'm sitting here looking at the course, and shoot, when you come out of Mike's and hit Highway 3, you're at 340. You still got a whole San Felipe loop to do, which is really rough, and then even from there, you come out of San Felipe and you got to do the mini summit. You've got to go through Borrego. There's a lot of rough terrain, and that really takes its toll on a car. And yeah, it's only 800 miles, so it's 200 miles short of 1,000. But I think by the time you finish this race, you're going to feel like you did 1,000 miles.
Yeah, well, and I think that's too. This is one of those weird ones where it's not short by any means, but it's kind of that weird mix where it's man, we've seen the 500 become a sprint race, and this isn't too much longer than a 500. It's definitely not a 1,000. It's just, I don't know. It's this weird, I think there's going to be a lot of guys push really, really hard early on, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of equipment left, towards the end when they really need it, just because they're seeing it as this short thing. And I think the first couple 100 miles are really going to happen quick. And I don't know. I like you said, this is going to be a really interesting 1,000, I think.
Yeah. I think the way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to have a strategy of where we want to be and when we want to be there, and I'm just going to we'll execute our plan and let everyone else do whatever they're going to do. If someone else wants to drive their car 110% and try to gap everybody out, like, go for it, because I don't think your car will make it to the finish line. And so I think you got to be smart and execute your plan, and then do it. You got to come into this race prepared. So I mean, that's between now and the race. We'll be doing a ton of prep work on the car, and we're putting new everything in it, and and then we'll dyno the car, make sure everything's spot on, and I do feel like when we ran the 400, there's a pretty good pace at that race. We were pretty much gas and go the whole time, and we still didn't. I think the top 6 cars or something were within at least an hour, but I mean, everyone was like fairly close. I mean, especially like if you look at the trophy truck times and some of the other classes, I think the overall motorcycle was decided by 6 seconds. And I want to say, you probably know it's better than me, but the trophy trucks, the top 6 were like 5 or 6 minutes apart, and the top 10 were like 10 minutes apart or something.
Yeah, and it was like, and it was the point where I think they were like pulling in like literally nose to tail, and and obviously the time difference came from the splits and the gaps to start the race. But yeah, dude, it was real close. It was nuts. Yeah. So the 1,000 I think is going to get a lot more spread out. There's too many things out there to get you, and there's just a lot of going from the coast to Highway 3 is real technical, and then just San Felipe just has a history of taking people out. It's just rough down there. Oh, dude.
And so I think you got to get the car to Highway 3 in one piece and start that San Felipe loop, and then you got to get through that San Felipe loop in one piece. And I'd say if you get to like El Chinero at check 2, which is race mile 540, if you got a good car at that point, then you can look at racing to the finish. But I think you got to get to check 2 in one piece.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting the way that thing plays out, man. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate the time, buddy. It was good finally catching up and having you on the show, and getting able to just talk a little bit about everything, man.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked to be on here. Hopefully we can do it more often. Everybody, if you want to follow me, it's Wes Miller 70 for my athlete page for Facebook as well as Instagram, and then. Any of those old school fans out there, if you want some of that Bomb Squad gear, you can go to bombsquadracing.com. We reissued the Huevos DVDs, so you can get like the full 1 through 12 box set, as well as we've got a bunch of the old merch on there too. So you can get Bomb Squad shirts and hats and sweatshirts and stuff like that. So definitely check that out, and hopefully. We can do another phone call after winning 1,000 here if we have any luck.
Yeah, I can definitely promise you, dude. You win the 1,000, we got you locked in for the next week for sure. It's a given, man.
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of guys that have their eyes set on that. But I feel confident we got a good car, and like I said, I got a lot of miles under my belt down there, so I think we got as good a shot as anybody. But I'm looking forward to the challenge, and looking forward to having some good races with my buddies down there.
Yeah, well, and I know Matlock was one of the first guys to come up congratulate you, after your win. But at the same time, I know Wayne, he's probably going, all right, well, don't get used to it because the 1,000's mine.
Yeah, me and Wayne, we've won a lot of races together, and it's been really tough for me to sit and watch him win all these UTV races while I haven't won one. So. I'm definitely, I'm not going to hand these wins to him. I think, he's had a good run, but, I'm going to make him earn it, and I know he's going to make me earn everything that I get. So it's a good friendly rivalry, and it's funny because his wife Kristen actually is in the mix in there too. So
yeah, she's a shredder,
I'm
man.
always worried about her.
Yeah.
I'm always worried about her sneaking up on us. Because they start behind us, and it's like, okay, well, where's Kristen at? Because sometimes she could finish behind us physical, but still beat us in adjusted, and then there's going to be a stacked field down there. So there's a lot of guys that race 1,000 that don't race the whole score series that are very talented. You got like Justin Lambert from Cognito. He runs a good program. Burnett will be, I'm sure, running strong. The Murrays come. If Mike Caffro can ever get his car dialed and not crash into stuff, he runs a good pace. There's a ton of guys that run really well. So I know it's going to be a very competitive race, but I have a feeling that there'll be 2 or 3 of us battling for the lead at the end, and everybody else will kind of drop to the wayside. And I think midway through this race, it'll thin out. Like I said, it'll be a 2 to 3 car race probably to the finish.
Yeah, it's always interesting the way Baja kind of plays out, and you start seeing after a few hundred miles the way things kind of start separating and how the race kind of comes to everybody. But man, once again, Wes, thanks for calling in, buddy. Congrats on the victory, and looking forward to seeing you, bang doors down there in Baja.
Okay, thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, that was a hell of a ride. Go check out mymedic.com for the best first aid kits on the planet and save 15% with discount code JimBeaver. Again, mymedic.com, discount code JimBeaver, and save 15%. It's cheaper than a feeling.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound of the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Welcome back here to the 4 Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver here, wrapping things up. And, once again, head over to iTunes, hit the subscribe button to the Down and Dirty Show. You'll get both this and my national show. And also hit it to Project Action. Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me at Jim Beaver 15 on social media. I will be out at Lucas Oil at Glen Helen this weekend, calling the live stream. Tune in on the live stream or come say hey in person if you feel so inclined. We'd love to hear some fans of the show. But big shout out to Polaris RZR, General Tire, Vision Wheel, Dirtfish. Don't forget, use that coupon code DOWNDIRTYDF. It'll get you 15% off at Dirtfish Rally School. Gibson Exhaust. Also, my good friends at Impact Race Products. They got some amazing UTV stuff that they have continued to drop. 4 Wheel Parts, obviously, big supporters of the show. Title sponsor of the show, I might add. And my good friends at My Medic. Don't forget to use the coupon code JimBeaver. It'll get you 15% off at My Medic. And then also our good friends at Super ATV have come on board, and I got to tell you, best damn axles on the planet for your UTV. So, thank you guys. Thanks, Wes Miller, for taking the time, and we will see you right here next week once again with the 4 Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Show Off-Road Edition, powered by Polaris RZR. Yep, see you next time.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.